Baby, it seems we found each other's dream. Now the way
There's an interesting story here behind this, and it was some years ago that we had moved to Virginia from Southern California, probably in the late 90s or so. I was on the internet in the middle of the night and decided to do a little research on a theme song that I absolutely loved, and that was the theme song from Nanny and the Professor. Some of you may remember the song and the show. And I found out who it was. Someone had been talking about it in a post and referred to this band and this group called the Addrisi Brothers. And she referred to them as the wonderful Addrisi Brothers. I thought, I've got to look into this because I always remembered that song. It had been a long time since I'd heard it, and it stuck with me for a long time. I did some internet research and eventually, a few years ago, tracked down one of the Addrisi brothers, Richard Adrisi, who joins us today on the Schilling Show. And I'm so pleased to have you here. Richard, thank you for joining us on the program today.
Well, you're welcome, Rob. We're 5,000 miles away from each other. I'm sitting here in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and it's our summer, so it's wonderful. Everything's just the opposite.
It is interesting, and I think this is the first time that we've had a guest online from Buenos Aires, but I thank you for joining us today, and what a wonderful life of music you've had, and it continues to this day. I wanted to go back, and we're going to play a little music today and have you comment on some of the songs, but would love to get just a sense of your own family and how you got started in the music business, because, boy, when you got into this, it was back in the 1950s, and things were very different than today.
Yes, it was, Rob. I'll tell you what. The interesting fact was, I was born in Boston. My brother and I were born in Boston. Donald, Donald passed in 1984 of pancreatic cancer.
Yes,
at a very early age, at 45. But we were born in Boston. Ended up going to Los Angeles because an agent called and said there's a new show in this is about 1954, 55, called The Musketeers. Huh. So we went out and tried out for The Musketeers in 1955.
Wow.
Mom and Dad sold the house in Boston, just moved to California, which was wonderful. I mean, I can't believe what assistance we had from our family. You know, it was just wonderful. Mom and Dad were the Flying Adrisi, a very, very famous trapeze act with Barnum and Bailey in the old days.
Yes.
So that's where Flying Adrisi comes, the Flying Adrisi music and all the rest of the things. And basically moved out to California. And that was the start of Don and I's career. And everything just evolved from that point. It's fascinating how things occur. Don and I climbed the ladder of success one failure at a time. So whoever is out there is a struggling songwriter, not making it, having a hard time, stick with it.
It's
Send
great.
your songs to anybody you can, send your song to. Sing your songs to anybody who can sing your songs to. But that's how it was in the old days in Dick Clark when Don and I were in Philadelphia. The groups used to stand outside when Dick came out, and they would start singing.
Wow. Different.
They start singing their doo-wops and the rest of it. So same thing happened with a lot of DJs in New York. The famous DJs in New York, they would come out of the studio and you'd hear them, a new group would start singing their doo-wop thing, and you'd be surprised. Things started to happen,
It is amazing. We're talking with Richard Adrisi, a songwriter and recording artist. And before we get into the music, you referenced your brother Don and how young he was when he passed back in 1984. Tell us a little bit about Don. Give us a sense of the man, because most of the people in the listening audience probably never had a chance to really know him other than through his songs.
Well, it was always Don and Dick Adrisi.
Yes.
As we grew up, it was always Don and Dick Adrisi. Don was a musical genius. He's the person who played the instruments. I was the person who kind of sang against what he played when we wrote our songs. Case in point with Never My Love,
yes,
which is coming up for its 10 millionth play.
Wow.
With BMI, which is, there's only one other song that has done that, and that is You've Lost That Lovin' Feeling.
My goodness.
With Barry Mann and Cynthia, what is it?
Cynthia Will.
and Ma'am.
Yes.
if you take Never My Love in May, this May is going to receive the 10 millionth award, which means if you owned your own radio station and played Never My Love every hour on the hour, 7 days a week, constantly, it would take 35 years to play it.
My goodness.
Based on a 3-minute record.
It is simply amazing. And I wanted to step back for just a moment from Never My Love and play one of the songs that really got you noticed. And in fact, there's a video on YouTube, and we've put a link to it on the show notes over at shillingshow.com if you want to see it. It's called Cherrystone. And let's just hear a little bit of it. And I'd love to hear how this song really got people's attention. So let's put on the music here. This is Cherrystone, one of the early hits from the Addrisi Brothers.
All right.
Now, Richard, it's interesting to me because there was this wonderful harmonization that you and Don had. I mean, as I listened to the harmonies on the song, I mean, is that the two of you that are making this wonderful sound? Because you're so locked in your harmonies.
It was always the Addrisi brother harmony. It was kind of I don't know. It was like a signature of Don and I. Was our harmonies. They were very tight. As Don and I always said, we gave great demo. When we sold songs to people, we would go in with Don, his guitar, his amplifier. We'd sit in the amplifier. I would bang on the guitar case, and we would sing these harmonies.
How did you learn how to harmonize like that? Because did it come naturally, or did you have some lessons in there?
I'll tell you how it came. It came from my mom. When as I told you about moving out from the East Coast to the West Coast with the Disney project, my mom and dad bought a car, and they bought a Studebaker station wagon, and they had put the Addrisi Brothers on the side. Now, the car was brand new, but what did it not have? It didn't have a radio. Why? It made Don and I, my mom made Don and I sing all the way from Boston to California.
Wow.
And she was amazing with harmonies.
And so what were you singing?
Go ahead.
Yeah, what were you singing? Do you remember?
Yeah, different songs from the 50s. We did songs from the Addrisi Brothers, Bye-bye love, bye-bye happiness, those songs from the 50s. We would harmonize, and my mom would give us the harmonies, and we would sing. 3,000 miles across the country, we sang until we got there. And then now we'll talk about Cherrystone for a second, because that's a fascinating song. My brother wrote that song.
Yes.
We don't. I never really knew what Cherrystone meant. It's a clam, the Cherrystone clam, in Boston. But I don't really remember what it was about as far as the song goes. But we had written the song, and we ran into a man called Bob Keane, and Bob Keane owned Delphi Records. Mm-hmm. Which was the record company for La Bamba.
Yes. Richie Valens.
Richie Valens. Yes. I'm sorry, I'm a little.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
But for Richie Valens, anyway, he got a hold of us and he said, "Listen, I've heard you guys harmonies, and I just heard a song that you guys had done a demo on called Cherrystone." And so he brought us in, and he signed us.
He loved the song.
And those were the days that you could be signed at the moment, as you sat down at the table. Whether you were paid or not is another thing in itself. But as far as Cherrystone goes, we went in, cut the song, and by golly, we had a hit. in
It's
1959.
as I went back and saw this video that's on YouTube, and again, Leon's linked it up on show notes if people want to check it out. How could you not be drawn into this song? I mean, it's about as catchy as it could possibly be. I'd never heard it in my life when I saw the video, and I went out and bought the CD that had it on there because the song was so remarkable, and that's what got people's attention.
Yes, it was. It really was. What a cute video that was. I was so young, and Don was so young, and we just sang, and I had a split tooth. If you really look at that video, I had a cracked front tooth, which Bob Keane finally fixed when we did the Ed Sullivan show.
Yes.
Those were the days when things just popped. They just happened right at the moment. They just took off. You didn't have to worry about a record contract or anything else. You just went in the studio, which was Gold Star Recording Studios in Hollywood, which is very, very famous. And we went in, recorded it, and had a hit. Boom, just like that. But, Rob, the business is not the same as it was then. You were able to get a record out. You could go into a disc jockey in Boston or Los Angeles at 1 o'clock in the morning and say, listen to this record. Play my record, please.
Yes.
And if it gave it a spin and it got a lot of calls, you had a hit.
No more.
That doesn't happen.
Those days have changed. We're talking with Richard Adrisi, songwriter and recording artist, and I want to play a little bit of this next song before we talk about it in greater depth. And he referenced it earlier. The song is Never My Love. Just an astoundingly beautiful song, and when I made the connection that the Addrisi Brothers were behind this song, it really made me want to talk to Richard and just find out about the history of the song. So let's hear a little bit. I'll tell you, I'd love to play it all the way through if we had the time because it is such a gorgeous melody. Let's check it out.
Ask me if there'll come a time when I grow tired of you. Never my love.
And of course, that's the Association's version of Never My Love. I actually have two of your CDs with different versions of the song, which are really interesting in and of themselves. Tell us how the song came about, Richard, because I don't know if you guys realized it when you wrote it, what a monster hit that would be and how attractive that would be to people for decades.
Well, I'll tell you, so I'm going to tell you a story now on your radio station, WINA.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you a story that not too many people know. My mom and dad and my brother and I lived in Studio City, California, a little house.
Yes.
And we wrote there in the kitchen. And one night, my brother had met this girl named Jackie, and he came to me, and he woke me up in our room. We lived together. We stayed together in the same room, shared the same room as brothers.
Yes.
And he came, and he woke me up, and he said, Dick, wake up, wake up. He said, I just asked Jackie to marry me. And she said, will there ever come a time when you grow tired of me? And I said, never, my love.
Oh, my goodness.
And I said, what a title. Let's go right. So we went in the back room while the Cocker Spaniel's sleeping. Mom and Dad are sleeping. We go in the back room, and we write the song. And at 6 o'clock in the morning, we're going to finish with the song. And we go to our publisher, a man named Barry DeVorzon, who wrote Nadia's Theme, a very famous writer.
Yes.
He wrote Rhythm of the Rain, everything else. So we went to his house 5 minutes away up the street, and we sang this song to him, and he looked at us, and he said, after us writing 100 songs for him, he said to us, gentlemen, you have just written one of the major songs of the 20th century.
Wow.
Yeah. That's exactly how it came down.
What a wonderful... Yeah, go ahead.
No, interestingly, because we sang my mother and my father everything we wrote.
Yes.
And anything my mother loved was not a hit. Everything my mother hated became a hit. So we sang Never My Love. Before we went to sing it for Barry DeVorzon, we sang it for Mom. She says, it's okay.
It's fascinating. to hear how the story of the song, because I've wondered my whole life, who was behind that song, who inspired that, and how it's so poetic. But even beyond the poetry, it's just the way that you have laid the melody into this song that is astounding to me as someone who admires songwriting and obviously connected with generation upon generation of people.
Well, you never know what you write, But I have to tell you something. I have been astounded by what people have said. I lived in Nashville for 3 years. I moved to Nashville because Paul Williams, who was a personal friend, said, "Richard, you got to come to Nashville. Everybody's singing songs that we write.
Yes.
So you got to come." I went there, and I'm walking down the street. I just bought a pair of cowboy boots, and I'm walking past this honky-tonk bar with the window where the band is, and the guy in the window says, "There's Richard Adrisi. You got to come in. Richard, sing Never My Love." So I go in, I sing it, and I walk out afterwards with my boots, and a man comes up and says, "Richard," he said, "I have to tell you something. You changed my life with that song." He said, "I didn't know how to ask my wife how to marry me." He said, "I was so insecure, and then I heard your song, and all I had to do was just play Never My Love, and that said it all."
Wow. These are songs that definitely changed lives. We're talking with Richard Adrisi, and I wish we had 2 hours, the whole show with him today. I have so much more to ask. I'd like to go on to another song, and as you heard in my promo of this segment, this is how I actually looked you up on the internet and decided to seek you out and learned about the Addrisi Brothers and the wonderful music.
All right, Rob, stop right there.
Yes.
Phoebe Piccalilli is a silly name, right?
Yes, indeed. This is Nanny and the Professor. Let me play just a little bit for the audience to hear this, because this stuck with me for so many years. Let's listen.
All right.
Soft and sweet, wise and wonderful, ooh, our mystical, magical Nanny. Since the day that Nanny came to stay with us, fantastic things keep happening.
That song has stuck with me all these years. It is one of, I think, the best TV songs ever written, and in and of itself, if it wasn't a hit, it certainly should have been. How did you get to write the song for Nanny and the Professor?
Well, I'm going to tell you all these secret stories that nobody else has known from 5,000 miles away, because I can tell them now and nobody can get to me here. It's one of those things. All right. I'll tell you what the situation was, is that Harry Nielsen, who was a dear friend,
yes,
and we wrote for the same company, they put us in little rooms to write songs. So Harry was in one room, and my brother and I were in another room, and we were just writing. And they gave us an assignment to write the song for Nanny and the Professor. Okay?
Yes.
So now we can hear Harry's melodies coming through the wall of our room, and we're writing, and he can hear our melodies coming through his room. Okay? Now, we finish Nanny and the Professor, and we go to our publisher, and we sing, and he says, "Great song, great song." He said, "But it's a little close to what Harry did." Which was "People That Would Tell You About My Best Friend."
Oh, and "Courtship of Eddie's Father."
And Harry said, "Hey, guys, did you steal my song?" And I said, No, we didn't. We just heard it. It's subliminal. It was subliminal. But we were writing songs, my God, Harry and my brother and I and some other writers, David Pomerantz, wonderful songwriter. But we were all working in these they put us in cubicles, and we made $25 a week.
Oh, my goodness. It's hard to imagine. And look what came of it. It's so interesting. We're talking with Richard Adrisi, and before we have to go, and we don't have much time left, there's a couple of other songs I want to talk to you about. One of them, actually both of them, are in the bumper rotation for this program and have been for several years. Most people don't know them, but I want to play right now a song that just grabbed me when I first heard it, which wasn't until just a few years ago when I got your CD, and it's called "We've Got to Get It On Again." Let's check this song out.
Okay.
never talk. There was a time when there weren't.
Now, this is such a powerful song, and the arrangements are wonderful. The harmonies are great, and this song was one of the big hits that you guys had under the Addrisi Brothers. Tell us a little bit about We've Got to Get It On Again.
You got to get it on again. Wasn't supposed to be. What happened was is that Clive Davis loved another song called I Can Count on You.
Yes.
My publisher put the deal together. We went down to Nashville with Norbert Putnam and cut two songs. I Can Count on You and We've Got to Get It On Again. Got to Get It On Again was on the back side. Now, again, we will go back to real fast about how times have changed. There are no backsides to any records anymore because there are no more records anymore.
Yes,
so,
that's true.
Okay, a DJ in Boston flips the record over, and We've Got to Get It On Again becomes a hit. I'm getting a divorce from my wife.
Mm-hmm.
My wife comes to me and she said, after hearing it on the radio, I wish you had told me how you felt before a million people found out before me.
Oh, boy.
And it was, the line was, we never kiss in the penetrating way that used to turn me on. And she said, Richard, how could you have done that to me? And I said, I didn't know they were going to flip the record over. No, who knew? Who knew this? But anyway, that's that. Go ahead. What else do you want to know?
I want one more song we're going to talk about, which really is one of my favorites, and I play it here again in the bumper rotation. It's called Wendy Wakefield. Let's listen to it very quickly while we have just a couple minutes left. Here we go.
Okay.
I tell Wendy that the sun shines every day. How white and gay the snow is when the roses bloom.
And people hear that all the time in my bumper rotation and probably have wondered for a couple years what song that is. And I just immediately fell in love with that song. And then reading the lyrics, it was even more fascinating. Tell us about Wendy Wakefield before we have to go, Richard.
A friend of mine called me and he said, I want you to, when you come to New York, the next time you come to New York, you're going to meet my new wife.
Yes.
This song is really, truly one of the songs that was written from a situation. So my brother and I go to New York to pick up an award, and we walk up this 5-stair walk-up, no elevator, to my friend's hotel room. Not a hotel room. Actually, department, an apartment.
Yes.
In its one room, the bed, the kitchen is separated by a curtain. But whoever listens to this record has to really visualize. It's separated by a curtain that cuts off the kitchen.
Yes.
And he brings out his wife from the other room, and into this, he says, this is Wendy. I want you to meet Wendy. And we sit, and we sat there for, could have been 5 minutes without knowing that she was blind.
Wow.
And he actually gave us kind of a history of what he did. And outside the window was what they call the subway above ground that went by with the tracks. You heard all the noise. And he said to us, she doesn't really see what's going on out here. That is one of the best songs Don and I have ever written.
It is.
Well,
we're almost out of time, Richard, and I don't want us to get cut off. But I heard the song and I was so attracted to it, and I went to go look and see who else had recorded it. And actually, was it Mark Almond who recorded this? There was one other fairly famous artist who recorded the song, but it's such a beautiful song. Did you pitch this song to others, and what response did you have?
We really didn't pitch the song to anybody else. I know we had other cuts on it,
yes.
But I think maybe Glenn Campbell had done the song.
Yes.
We really didn't do it because it was Don and I's signature song.
Well, it was.
Truly was our.
And really, I think no better example of the songwriting that you had and that you still have. I wish we could have spent the whole 2 hours today. So much more to ask you. Richard Adrisi, it's been a real pleasure talking with you from Buenos Aires, Argentina. Thank you for sharing the stories with us here on The Schilling Show. I wish you all the best.
I wish you the best too, and I wish WINA will keep on playing Addrisi Brothers songs, and we'll just keep on doing what we do, huh?
We'll certainly do it, and thank you so much, Richard.
All right, thank you.
All right.
I'm just like you. My lips have never cared before. But somehow